Hi, welcome again. In my last tutorial I have shown you how to use gparted very briefly. Now I'll show you how to install Linux. I'll be using Linux Mint distribution. I'll be installing Linux Mint on VirtualBox. Thing is, when you install, you really can't make a video without a camera while installing Linux on a real system, and I don't have a camera, so I can't record a video, so I'll show you on VirtualBox. But you can apply these steps to a raw installation from CD also. I'll be using VirtualBox and Linux Mint 13. So let's see how to do it. You need to install VirtualBox. You can do this on Windows as well, or you can do by booting the CD itself. Need to download Linux Mint, burn it on a DVD, and then you can insert the DVD, set the machine CD-ROM as the first bootable device and boot. Or if you are doing it on Windows, you can just follow these steps. So say new, click next, give it a name, Linux Mint, and select operating system Linux, and Mint is not listed here. Oh great, say other Linux, and then say next. Now you need to set base memory size. It says 256 MB. Now you should set depending upon how much you have. I have 4 gigs, so I'll give it 1 gig. So 1 gig I have given. You should not give more than half, see, otherwise your main operating system will become slow. This step will not be there if you install from CD. Say next. Let's say create new hard disk and click let's say use existing hard disk. No, I don't have new hard disk, so I say create new hard disk. So say next, and then I say it's a VirtualBox disk image. And then I say dynamically allocated. You can choose fixed size, it depends on your requirement. You will not be able to grow your fixed size hard disk. So let's say I make 8 gigs disk image. It will occupy 8 gig size on your hard drive and will grow if more data comes. You have option up to 2 terabyte. So you can create a hard drive up to 2 terabyte. So let's make 8 gigs. Okay, 8 gigs. Oh well, 8 gigs. And then say next, and then say create. So your Mint is created. Now you can adjust some parameters like display. If you want, you can share more video RAM. Let's say share 32 MB. I have only one monitor. Let's enable acceleration, and graphic acceleration, and storage I don't do anything there. Audio is pulse audio, network is NATed. There are other options also, let's not play with those for now, let it be NATed. There are no shared folders. You can share folders from your host operating system to your virtual machine. Now remember that these steps till now what we have done is not required if you boot from a proper CD while doing a real installation. Now let's boot this machine. Okay. So you select the installation media from the drive and say start. Now things which will happen here will, or rather are, like what you will see from a real disk. It will boot from the disk. Now this whatever we'll see will be the real behavior of the disk. So you can follow from here on how to install Linux. So Mint is booting. The purpose of tutorial are in the order. The first tutorial was on parted, so that you can learn how to do partitioning. Partitioning is usually the most difficult step for a beginner when he usually gets a machine with Windows. Most of us get a machine with Windows when we buy x86 hardware, and we don't want to risk losing our Windows. So I gave the first tutorial on gparted, and now I am giving on Linux Mint so that you can install Linux, and then I'll show you how to use Linux to install compilers and everything. So let Linux install. It will take a bit of time because the entire image of Linux Mint will be loaded into memory, and then oh well, it crashed or something. Let's see what happens. I think there is not enough memory. Great. I don't know if 1 GB is sufficient. Should work. 1 GB is a lot of memory. It can use swap. If 1 GB is not sufficient, it will be a slow machine, but it should work. Let's see. Okay. This will give you a real idea how your system will behave, because this video is a real video. Okay, so Linux Mint has booted on my virtual machine, and it has not completely started up yet. The menu bar has not come up yet, and the network has initialized. Okay, the icons have come. Let's wait for menu. I'll straight away proceed to installation of Linux Mint, which is kind of trivial. I mean, if you install once or twice, it will be like piece of cake for you. So let's double click this, install Linux Mint. It will be a bit slow, but when you will do on a real system, you will typically have more than 1 GB RAM on modern machines, and it will be not a virtual machine, that is, instructions are not translated, so it will be a lot more faster. Let me click it again. I am growing impatient. Let me hit enter. Okay, many so 3 windows may come. It will respond a bit slow. Okay, come on, come on. Come on, you slow machine. Don't worry, it's not so slow on real machine. On real machine, it's quite fast. It's the virtual machine which is a lot more slower. It's a lot more slower. Real machines are very fast. Okay, so installation has come. Great. You say English. Continue. Or you choose your language, whatever you want. So it requires 5.9 GB drive space. So we have 8 gigs. It is connected to internet. Right, so our NATing is connected to internet. So let's proceed, continue. And it says erase disk and install Linux Mint. As a Windows user, probably you wouldn't want to do this. Let's choose something else, and we will use our gparted knowledge to do partitioning. Let's press continue. Okay, so you see, we see our dev SDA. Remember our dev SDA from our first tutorial? So I say new partition table, then it will create a new partition table. Continue. Now parted should be launched. Okay, no, it didn't launch parted. So I have got 8 gig space. So I say add. I create a primary partition, let's say of 300 megs ext4 general system. At beginning I give it a mount point slash boot. This is where your Linux kernel images will go. So click OK, and you should also select format, which will be enabled by default. Then I say another one, oops, add 300 gigs mount point slash boot. OK, then select free space, click add. OK, typically you should create a separate home drive and separate slash partition, so that your data on home drive you can preserve whenever you reinstall your operating systems. So this is like 8 gigs, and we need 6 gigs for the um, our slash partition. So I'll make a slash partition of let's say 7 gigs. Okay, so I gave it 7 gigs. I select it as slash, I select primary. Okay, normally if you have a large hard disk, what you should do is should give like 20 GB for slash, which is more than enough in most of the cases, or you can give more, 30 GB or 40 GB, and you give a big partition like 100 GB or 200 GB, as much as you can, to slash home, and your swap, which is used for swapping files, should be typically double than the RAM. Now we don't have much hard disk here, so we give whatever is available to swap, that is 1121 MB, and click OK. So all the partitions will be formatted. Now we are occupying entire disk here. If you have Windows, typically your NTFS partition will be on top of this over here. You may want to delete entire Windows, which you should, and remove Windows. Windows is good for nothing anyway. So we have partition, and we say install now, and installation should begin, and it will ask you for repeated for further steps while installation continues. So we can see partitioning is going on, and while files are being copied, it asks you in parallel several things like your time zone, which is Kolkata for me. Select time zone. So and then you select your keyboard. You should detect your keyboard layout. Okay, so you press these keys plus, now press Q and then press Z. Then I don't have these symbols, so for the first time users you can do this. So now you can type here and check if these keys are on your keyboard or not, and then select continue. Keyboard is very important. You should test it always, that all your keys are working or not, otherwise later you will have problems. So I give my name here, and so I give my name, and then you can give whatever computer name. I give it name heaven. It will automatically pick out a name for you from your full name, and then you should set a password. Typically password should be strong, but doesn't matter as much as for a personal machine. It should be strong. It should contain typically a letter, or maybe some special characters like dollar, at the rate, percentile, and caret, etc. You may want to log in automatically, you may not want to log in automatically. It depends who uses your computer. An option to encrypt your home folder, but if you encrypt your home folder, you should keep in mind that you need to remember the password. So I choose not to encrypt the home folder, and I choose that require my password to log in, and say continue, and then installation is continuing. So it will take like 2-3 minutes, maybe more, 5 minutes. Let's see how much time it takes. copying files. We wait and watch the installation. Slideshow will begin. Let's enjoy the installation. One of the beauties of Linux is that you get a repository with all Linux distributions. Apart from RPM based distributions which have very small central repository for like Red Hat Linux or OpenSUSE or CentOS, Debian, Ubuntu, Mint, Gentoo, Arch Linux or Trisquel, such distributions of Linux typically have a very big, large repository of packages. Now, you may ask, I am a supporter of free Linux, free as in freedom, of always, free as in freedom, never about price. I am a supporter of free Linux. Why do I install Linux Mint, which contains non-free software like Flash, like Skype? Why do I recommend Linux Mint? Now, why do I do this is, there are several reasons. One is, free software is good. There is no doubt about it. It's the best. But at certain points, you definitely need commercial software. For example, Skype is one such software which people need. There are alternatives, yes, but suppose if you have a client which is bent on using Skype, you have no other way out. Mint is a very nice balance of commercial software along with free software. Not using proprietary software, you can achieve this step in a phase-wise manner. You cannot immediately say, I will not use this and this and this. You cannot say, I will not receive your Microsoft Word document. You have to find a solution. That if someone sends you a Word document, how will you use that Word document? Well, I can use LibreOffice to open it. You can request the same person that save it in open document format, so that I can open it in LibreOffice, and then I'll send you in open document format so that you can open it in Microsoft Word. This balance is very much needed. In life, you need balance. It is not about living at extreme. A time will come when free software will surpass commercial software in every aspect, but that time is not now. In certain situations, commercial software is better in quality but not in philosophy, and philosophy being important, I choose free software. I have a repository of 50,000 softwares approximately in my x86-64 distribution. So I can live with 5 non-free software. If I say no, I will not use even one non-free software, yes, you can do it, but not everyone can do it. So you should think like this: I can do it, but can everyone do it? I don't want to use a proprietary driver of NVIDIA, but is everyone willing to do that? There has to be a middle ground. The greater solution of achieving it is, NVIDIA should be convinced that they release their chip specification, and then we make free drivers of those, and then our goal will be achieved. For example, Microsoft Office must have a format. It has, so which can be opened in LibreOffice without any loss of visual appearance. For software like Skype, you have to have a proper alternative. Unless you provide an alternative, you cannot expect people to quit. people will not give up their job. Software is meant to help people. So unless you have an alternative for Skype, you cannot say don't use Skype. So we are almost done. I'm sorry to say that I bored you with this long speech during my video, but I had no option. I would have got bored by not speaking. Installation is almost complete, and very soon we'll be able to boot into our new system. And so you see how easy it is to install Linux. People say Linux is not easy to use, but let me say that those days are long gone by. It'll take another half minute or 1 minute maybe. You should notice that if you are connected to internet, it will try to download some certain things which I will skip because it will take a lot of time if I start downloading stuff from internet. I live in India, my internet is very slow, so it will create users and file systems have been created. It may import your stuff, and it is installing several things. And okay, so you see now it is downloading language packages. It will take 65 minutes. So let's skip this step. So I have skipped this step. Configure hardware, detect hardware, and I'll remove my disk. Don't forget to remove your disk after your installation is done, and then you can reboot. We'll reboot in a minute or so. And you have Linux, GNU Linux. Linux is kernel, not the entire OS. It's very difficult to say GNU Linux. It's a big one, big name. It's complex, but it reminds you that Linux is kernel, not operating system. Always remember, which Mr. Richard Stallman says, if you do not protect your freedom, you will lose it. You have to protect, you have to fight. Don't do it, you will lose it. I will talk about secure boot sometime later when the time will be right. Right now I just want to finish this video. It is already very long, and people say that Windows is very popular, Windows is easy to use. How come Linux being superior cannot beat Windows? The answer is, whenever you buy a machine you get Windows. Consider a first time user who gets Windows with his machine. He gets used to Windows. Just like a baby when he is born, he learns the language from his parents, from his environment. If you start using Windows, then you get used to it. That's the simple thing. Installation is complete. Let's reboot. It's rebooting. So VirtualBox will give you a message from time to time. So my disk should be ejected. Okay. I'm waiting for the console logs and all. Okay, come on, come on. Your feedback will be very important on this video, that what more you would like, what parts you liked and what you did not. You may have difficulty in listening to me because I'm not natively English speaker, but it's taking too much time. Why is that so? Okay, let me take out disk by force. Okay, it is not giving me the disk. Okay, disk is out. Now it's not shutting down, so I'm using force. I send it shutdown signal. Let's see if it reboots, or better yet, I power off this machine. So Mint is gone, I mean the installation one, and let's start it. Let's see if we can get our next Mint proper, and then it should boot. Shouldn't be a problem. It should be much faster this time. Okay, we are booted. Piece of cake, huh? So we will hear a very nice small music file being played when you log in, and we have our very own nice Linux, GNU Linux working. So that's all for now. We'll proceed with further installation of compilers in this series of tutorials. I'll show you how to install compilers, and then we will proceed to programming, and we'll begin with C++. For C portion, I have already written a book. You can read it on libreprogramming.org. So thanks and goodbye.